Hello, I'm Scott Stewart, and this is the weekly Main Street Media TV high school football wrap-up show. We're going to work our way across Middle Tennessee and check in with all of our sports editors and sports writers to find out how each team from Main Street Media coverage areas fared on the gridiron last week. We may even give you just a little peek at what you can expect from your local Main Street Media newspaper this week. If you're seeing this in Middle Tennessee, make sure you go to mainstreetmediatn.com to find the local newspaper serving your community. And while you're there, maybe sign up for a subscription so you don't miss any of the local news, sports, and more that your local newspaper has lined up for you each and every week. Let's get this week's high school football wrap-up started and head over to Wade Neely in western Middle Tennessee.
What's up, folks? Wade Neely here. I'm your sports editor in Hickman County, Dickson County, as well as Cheatham County, giving you guys a breakdown of all of our Week 1 high school football action. And man, oh man, was it an electric slate as we open things up here in the state of Tennessee. We'll start in Hickman County. Bit of a mixed bag as Fairview defeats a East Hickman team that had a great season, a record-breaking season a year ago, but they lost a lot of talent. No excuses from Coach Austin and his bunch, however, but they are 0-1 after suffering a 49-18 defeat. Hopefully the Eagles can get back on the right side of things as we head into Week 2. Meanwhile, I'm not sure that head coach Patrick Smith kind of wants Week 1 to end as the Hickman County Bulldogs, under their new direction, rolled right up to Harpeth. I was on hand for that game Friday night, and Hickman County dominated from the opening kick to the final whistle in a commanding 39-14 victory as Hickman County ran for over 300 yards on the ground. They didn't have a guy in particular that really stood out, but they had 4 or 5 hard-nosed rushers that really took care of business. Jaden Street, Andy Kraft, and company all doing damage as Hickman County again ran wild on Harpeth 39-14. Cruising up just a little bit further north, we go to Dickson County. And again, kind of like a lot of our teams, it was a mixed bag as Creekwood suffered a 43-36 defeat. I'll let Casey Patrick give you the ins and outs on that game from Friday night. But Forest, a pretty good team. The Rockets went into Charlotte and defeated the Creekwood Redhawks in their Week 1 contest. Meanwhile, Dickson County, nice win down in Murray County as they defeat the host Columbia Central Lions. It was Dickson County knocking them off 27-17. Now we're in Cheatham County, and I told you guys about the great things that the Hickman County Bulldogs did and their first-year head coach. It was not as fun. It was not as pleasant. But head coach Charles Moorhead said, hey, we will be better. We've got to be better after his Indians fell again in that Week 1 matchup to Hickman County. Still saw some impressive performances from Harpeth, and you can see that they were a little more talented than you might have been led to believe into Friday's matchup. But they kind of got shell-shocked and never recovered. So again, 39-14 was that final as Harpeth falls in Cheatham County. Elsewhere, talk about a nail-biter. Our friend and colleague Bill Clark was not only there shooting photos for us, he was writing recaps, and he was telling us all about Sycamore as Hicks Hunter runs wild. 2 touchdowns for Hicks. We've talked about him a lot in the preseason entering this year, and he had 2 touchdowns, and he needed them both. Sycamore needed them both as they hang on for a 13-6 win versus visiting Montgomery Central. Unfortunately, we close in Cheatham County as the Cheatham County Cubs went on the road and found out that Wartrace, Tennessee is not exactly a pleasant place to be on Friday nights as the host Cascade champions bottled up the Cubs all night long. 41-6 was your final score there. So we had 6 games on our docket, and it was a mixed bag for a lot of our coverage area. Had some highlights, had a few letdowns, but the good news is everybody's right back in action for Week 2. It's going to be another fantastic week of high school action coming your way. But for now, that's a recap of Week 1. I'm Wade Neely saying so long. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, Wade. Now let's get more Western Middle Tennessee scores and highlights from Casey Patrick.
Hi, my name is Casey Patrick. I'm the sports reporter for the Dickson Post, Cheatham County Exchange, and the Hickman County Times. I'm going to give you a quick rundown into last Friday's action for all of the teams in my coverage area. We'll start with the teams in Dickson. Dickson County was on the road at Columbia Central last Friday, defeated the Lions 27-17. Creekwood, the game I was at on Friday, lost a high-scoring affair to Forest 43-36. Over in Cheatham County, Sycamore was at home Friday night playing against Montgomery Central and former assistant coach Wyatt Page. Sycamore came away with the win 13-6 in that one. Harpeth also at home lost 39-14 to Hickman County. Cheatham County Central lost 41-6 to Cascade on the road. Cheatham County Central, of course, will be at home this Friday to face Glencliff. It's the first time that they're playing at home in almost 700 days. And then we'll round things out with Hickman County, and of course I just alluded to it, but Hickman County defeated Harpeth 39-14. Huge win for Coach Smith in his first game. And then East Hickman drops a rough one to Fairview, 47-18 to begin the season. So that's it for week 1. Thank y'all and have a wonderful evening.
Thanks, Casey. It's time to take a quick break to hear from our amazing sponsors. We'll be right back after this.
He shoots and he scores!
At Delta Dental of Tennessee, we know our success begins and ends with providing superior quality service, and that includes serving those who need it most. This year, we're celebrating 25 years of giving back to the community we call home. Delta Dental, along with our Smile 180 Foundation, supports Tennessee's dental colleges and oral health education, children's hospitals, free and reduced cost dental clinics, and other like-minded charities. Here's to the next 25 plus years of ensuring healthy smiles.
Welcome back. Let's move on over to Northwest Middle Tennessee and hear from Calvin White.
Hello everybody, this is Calvin White, sports editor with Main Street Clarksville, the Robertson County Connection, and the Houston County Herald, here to give you a quick recap of all of the Week 1 games across the Northwest region of our Main Street Preps coverage. Starting in Montgomery County, Blackman downs Clarksville 24-6. Clarksville loses its first regular season game since September 16th, 2022. Springfield handles Rossview easily 32-6. Kirkwood shuts out West Creek 42-0. Northeast went on the road to Christian County up in Kentucky. They win 48-20. Northwest wins in dominant fashion over Fort Campbell for the second consecutive season. Northwest takes that game 53-13. Montgomery Central loses a tight one to Sycamore on the road. The Indians fall 13-6 in that one. Clarksville Academy wins 42-0 over Hunters Lane, and Kenwood wins 20-6 over Hillsboro. In Robertson County, like I said earlier, Springfield 32-6 over Rossview. White House Heritage wins 35-0 over Greenbrier. East Robertson beats Liberty Creek 35-28 in overtime. Joe Burns wins handedly over Mount Juliet Christian 42-7. Portland shuts out White House 36-0 at home. And Liberty Tech Magnet wins 45-13 over Innovation Academy. And finally, in Houston County, the Fighting Irish win 43-6 over Stewart County. That'll do it for all of our Week 1 wrap-up action from the Northwest Central region of our Main Street Preps coverage. I'm Calvin White, and I'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, Calvin. It's time now to move down to Southern Middle Tennessee and Maurice Patton.
Thanks, Scott. We had plenty of surprises and statements across Southern Middle Tennessee in Week 1. Let's start in Lawrenceburg, where Summertown visited the Wildcats. Michaela Powell gave the visiting Eagles a lead in the second quarter with a 65-yard punt return. The host Wildcats answered with 28 straight points. Final, Lawrence County 35, Summertown 14, both avenging a 14-0 loss to the Eagles in 2024 and getting the Garrick Barnett era of Lawrence County football off to a solid start. The LCHS graduate picking up a victory in his initial outing there again. Lawrence County 35, Summertown 14 in the season opener. Also, speaking of statements, speaking of Summertown and Lawrence County, Mount Pleasant got a 116-yard rushing effort from former Summertown running back Caden McCrory. Also got 140 passing yards from former Lawrence County quarterback Cale Scott in a 41-0 win at Battle Creek, ruining Battle Creek's varsity debut. The Grizzlies played as a junior varsity program last year, again making their first start as a varsity program on their turf Friday night. Mount Pleasant with the big win there, 41-14. Let's go to Columbia Academy, where the Bulldogs, your 2024 Division 1A, Division 2A state runner-up, bumped up this year to D2AA and had their hands full against a Fayetteville team that was visiting in the season opener. Columbia Academy trailed 19-7 in this one in the third quarter, but got a scoop and score from Alex Heffington to take the lead and held on for a 36-25 victory over the visiting Tigers. Aiden Honeycutt rushed for 176 yards and a pair of touchdowns for the Bulldogs in that one. Again, Columbia Academy 36, Fayetteville 25. Couple of teams debuting their new turf fields, and both of them had to kind of pick themselves up off of it. Spring Hill drops a 13-0 decision to Summit in the Battle of the Hill. Jackson Krinke with a pair of touchdowns for Summit. Lionel Brooks rushes for 104 yards for the Raiders in that loss. So Summit 13, Spring Hill 6. Dixon County came to Lindsey Nelson Stadium taking on the Columbia Central Lions, and Tristan Brown made himself at home on the new turf from the very start. 90-yard kickoff return to open the game. Wound up rushing for 163 yards and 2 touchdowns in addition to the big special teams play. In fact, Dixon County returned 2 kickoffs for touchdowns there. Guess what the Lions will be working on this week? Again, Dixon County 27, Columbia Central 17, the final from Lindsey Nelson Stadium on their new turf. Let's also go to the Brickyard. Pulaski, Giles County taking on 4-time Class 5A state runner-up Page, and the Patriots, if Friday night was any indication, got their eyes on yet another Blue Cross Bowl visit. 47-34 Patriots, the final. But David Bridges, 29 carries, 175 yards, and a pair of touchdowns for the Bobcats. Also, Xavier Randolph threw for 238 yards. Nearly half of those, well, more than half of those, going to Damari Allen. 7 catches, 129 yards, and a pair of scores for Allen there. Again, Page, 47, Giles County, 34, the final from Pulaski. Not staying in Giles County, but Richland travels to Wayne County, drops a nail-biter, 16-14. All of your scoring in the first half in that one. The Raiders got a 207-yard passing performance from the freshman quarterback Gavin Schrader, threw for a couple of touchdowns. Jake Sands caught a touchdown, caught 6 passes for 91 yards. Levi Reedy caught 3 passes for 79 yards. But again, 16-14 at the half, and that was the way it wound up. Wayne County getting the win over in Waynesboro. At Loretto, the Mustangs facing visiting Cornersville in their season opener, and again, another young quarterback getting the start. Sophomore Ben Lyles, 259 passing yards with a pair of touchdowns, but also had 3 interceptions, the last of which was returned 80 yards for a pick 6 that swung that game. Basically, Loretto was going in trying to go up, and instead, it's Cornersville sealing a 38-28 win with, again, a 80-yard pick 6 there. So tough night for the Mustangs. Dylan Thompson, 6 catches for 185 yards and a pair of scores. Colby Brown also with 2 rushing touchdowns, 44 rushing yards on the night as Loretto falls 38-28 to visiting Cornersville. Next up, Independence in the first game of the Scott Blade 2.0 era goes over to Rockvale and defeats the Rockets 37-23. Matthew Horner with 208 passing yards and a pair of touchdowns. Eli Garlington rushed for a pair of scores, as well as the Eagles go to 1-0 on the season under their new new coach, Scott Blade. Finally, Lewis County downs visiting Zion Christian 54-0. The Eagles coming back to the TSSAA after a 4-year stay in the TSIAA, where they were playing 8-man football. Tough night for the Eagles as they go over to Hohenwald and take a 54-0 loss at Lewis County. That's going to do it here from Southern Middle Tennessee. I'm Maurice Patton. We'll see y'all later this week.
Thanks, Maurice. Okay, it's time to hear from our sponsors again. We'll be right back after this.
At Delta Dental of Tennessee, we know our success begins and ends with providing superior quality service, and that includes serving those who need it most. This year, we're celebrating 25 years of giving back to the community we call home. Delta Dental, along with our Smile 180 Foundation, supports Tennessee's dental colleges and oral health education, children's hospitals, free and reduced cost dental clinics, and other like-minded charities. Here's to the next 25 plus years of ensuring healthy smiles.
When the arena lights dim for a concert, or when the crowd becomes one at a big game, you can almost feel like you're the biggest fan. But who's your biggest fan? It's the person that will get you home safely after a night of drinking. It's the person who looks out for your life to make sure you leave the stadium with someone sober. This could be a designated driver or someone who offers to get you a ride share. Because in Tennessee, fans don't let fans drive drunk. Brought to you by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office, a division of the Tennessee Department of Safety and Homeland Security.
All right, we are back and ready to move on up to North Central Middle Tennessee, where we will hear from Blaine Kellar. Take it away, Blaine.
I am Main Street Prep's North Central Regional Sports Editor Blaine Kellar, and it's time to give you your Sumner County scoreboard and some Nashville area results from the first week of the Tennessee high school football season. Most, if not all, of these scores have stories accompanying them on mainstreetpreps.com. You can also check us out across our 4 papers in print: the Portland Sun, the Gallatin News, the Hendersonville Standard, and Main Street Nashville. We'll start with Sumner County, the first game, one of the first games of the Tennessee high school football season in the Mid-State. Green Hill handles Beach 38-21 on Thursday in the MyTV 30 game of the week. The Buccaneers scored a couple of touchdowns late to make things look closer than they actually were. But the Buccaneers struggling overall in their first game in Wilson County. They'll look to get up off the mat, traveling to Mount Juliet for week 2. Gallatin defeated rival Hendersonville for the first time since 2019, winning 44-28 at home. Green Wave were led by VMI commitment Jackson Strout. Quarterback had 5 total touchdowns and over 225 passing yards. Other scores including JP2 winning 34-27 at Lakeway Christian. Coach Rock Batten getting his first win as head coach of the Knights, needing a late score from Sam Bowers to do so. The Ensworth transfer had 4 total touchdowns. So did quarterback Isaiah Batten, Rock's son. Good first win for the Knights. Other scores: East Robertson defeating Liberty Creek 35-28. That took overtime. The Wolves rallied and made it a heck of a game there in the late stages. Station Camp won 48-6 against Allen County Scottsville up in Bowling Green, Kentucky. That being the first of 2 games at Greenwood High School, both involving Sumner County teams. The second being Westmoreland falling to Greenwood, the Gators, 26-6. One more game from the Sumner County area. Portland, what a start for the Panthers, winning 36-0 against first-year coach Adley Pond and White House in their longtime rivalry game. Keelan Dalton had a couple of scores, and the defense made a big impact in that one. That's a look at the Sumner County scoreboard. Now here's some results from the Nashville area. We'll start and stay in the private school sector. Lipscomb Academy was ailed by over 100 yards in penalties and a few turnovers, falling to defending D2 AAA state champion McCauley 56-20. A nice debut nonetheless for Brentwood transfer quarterback J.C. White, his top target as well. Cam Blivens, a Columbia commitment, really held in there well for most of the game, going up against the Blue Tornado, but falling away late. Lipscomb Academy going up against Ravenwood in its next game. Our Russell Venozzi had coverage of Nashville Christian and Davidson Academy. The supporting cast for the Eagles really shined for quarterback and Georgia commitment Jared Curtis. Nashville Christian winning that game 56-28. And one more game we want to highlight here. Shout out to Good Pasture. the Cougars won 51-7. They snap a 13-game losing streak in doing so. A good win for Goodpasture, starting the season 1-0 after a winless campaign in 2024. One more to note, Oakland winning 28-14 over CPA. Again, all of these stories, most if not all of them, can be found online at mainstreetpreps.com. There's plenty more on the way. We'll kick it back to you guys. That's the scores from Sumner and the private school sector of Nashville and Davidson County.
Thanks, Blaine. And last but not least, we'll go over to East Middle Tennessee with David Wilson.
Hey everybody, this is David Wilson, East Middle Regional Sports Editor for Main Street Preps. Here to give you a quick recap of all the Week 1 games across not only Wilson County, but Rutherford County as well. It was a busy week for the Mid-State high school football slate, so looking forward to diving into it with you right now. We'll start in Wilson County, and things kicked off in the Friday Night Rivals game of the week on that Thursday edition between the Green Hill Hawks and the Beach Bucks, and it was Green Hill picking up a 38-21 victory over the Buccaneers. UT Martin commitment Cannon Burrows was absolutely phenomenal for Green Hill on Thursday night. It was 16 of 23 passing for 187 yards and 2 total touchdowns. He also had 12 carries and 60 more yards on the ground. Luke Parton was the beneficiary of his excellent day through the air. He reeled in 8 passes for 83 yards and 1 score. The Hawks rushing attack had a combined 126 yards between Zach Cartwright and Nathaniel Piggy Brogdon. They had 3 touchdowns, and that Green Hill defense limited the Beach Bucks offense that has Shelton Swafford going to ETSU and offensive lineman Jack Fuchs going to Penn State to just 211 yards of total offense. Moving to the Friday slate, it was Antioch defeating Mount Juliet for the first time since 1959, 24-2. The Bears snap a 10-game losing streak to the aforementioned Golden Bears. Andre Adams, absolutely phenomenal for Antioch. We have him at 17-24 passing for 246 yards and 2 touchdowns through the air. He also had 68 yards on the ground as well and 1 score. Offensively for Mount Juliet, they rotated 2 quarterbacks. CJ Hardy got the start and was 6 of 14 passing for 62 yards. Giannis Gigzall relieved him in the third quarter and was 1 of 6 passing. Their only points came on the safety in a fourth quarter. Lebanon spoiled the debut of Scott Stidham down at Knowlesville. The Blue Devils picked up a 27-22 win. Junior running back Guyan Ezeta with 185 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns. Austin Harrison made his starting debut for the Blue Devils under center. He was pretty stellar in his debut, 7 of 9 passing for 89 yards and 1 touchdown. He also had a efficient day on the ground as well. His touchdown pass went to Gavin Gregory through the air. Over in Wilson Central, it's the Wildcats picking up a 33-14 win over Cane Ridge. Their offensive line was phenomenal in their home opener. The Wildcats ran for 334 yards on the ground. A lot of that came from senior running back Chaz Martin, who had 205 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns in the win. Junior Colby Scott got the start under center for Wilson Central. He was 3 of 4 passing for 30 yards and 1 touchdown. That 1 touchdown went to Topher Allen, who also had 10 tackles on defense, 1 tackle for a loss, 1 blocked punt, and 1 forced fumble. Over in Lebanon, Friendship Christian picked up the 34-7 win over Charleston County. Blake Wardorf, the former Watertown quarterback, made his debut and completed 13 of 18 passes for 203 yards and 1 interception. Also ran in for a score, had 6 carries for 48 yards. Jaden McGowan was the bell cow for the Commanders in this one. He had 17 carries for 223 yards and 4 touchdowns as they defeat the Yellow Jackets of Trousdale County. Watertown dropped its home opener to Smith County, 28-23. Smith County running back Dylan Raines, 171 yards and 1 touchdown for the Owls in this one. Junior Garrett Davis got the start for the Purple Tigers at quarterback. He led them to 255 total yards of offense. Davis ran for 105 yards and a score. Threw 2 touchdown passes in this one, but just completed 7 of 22 passing. His 2 touchdown passes did go to Gunnar Tompkins, who had 36 yards receiving. And then wrapping it up in Wilson County, it was Mount Juliet Christian falling to Joe Burns by a final score of 42-7. And this one, sophomore quarterback Joey Edgerton completed 22 of 29 passes for 274 yards, 1 touchdown and 1 interception. Ramel Anderson had 156 scrimmage yards, and that one caught 8 passes for 107, then rushed for 23 more and recovered 2 fumbles. In Rutherford County, Oakland defeats CPA in a really highly anticipated matchup on Friday night down in Rutherford County. They defeat the visiting Lions 28-14. Ole Miss commitment Craig Tutt with 3 touchdowns in that contest for the Patriots. Justice Haggard also had a 2-yard rushing score for Coach Creasy in that one. Blackman picks up the 24-6 win over Clarksville in Montgomery County on Friday night. Javion Elliott, 8 of 15 passing for 125 yards and a touchdown. Also had 5 rushes for 92 yards and 2 scores in that one. Over at Centennial, it's Stewart's Creek defeating Centennial 39-36 in a shootout. Jamarcus Brown for Stewart's Creek, 258 yards and 4 touchdowns in that matchup. Absolutely ran all over the Cougars down there. In a Rutherford County showdown, it was PCA 28, Eagleville 21. Siegel with a big victory over Cookeville on Friday night as well. Siegel 15, Cookeville 12. Braylon Albee, 2 rushing touchdowns in that matchup. It was Franklin defeating Laverne 20-0 on Friday night. Independence down to Rockvale 37-23. MTCS got their season off to a good start. They defeated Ezo Harding 37-20. It was Knox Catholic 20, Riverdale 6 in that matchup. And then rounding up the scores in Rutherford County, it was Brentwood getting a last-minute touchdown to defeat Smyrna on Friday night 14-13. So that's a wrap-up of Week 1. Looking forward to talking to you guys next week here.
And that's our Week 1 high school football wrap-up. And if Week 1 is any indication, we've got a lot of great football to tell you about each week. Now, don't forget that our Main Street Media TV has a lot of great high school, college, and professional-based football shows lined up for you this season. Make sure you keep an eye on your local newspaper, social media pages, or download the Main Street Media TV app where you can catch all our great programming every single day. Also, don't miss our weekly high school football preview show with these same editors and reporters who are covering your school's team every week. And the preview show is scheduled for every Thursday at 1 p.m. during high school football season. And keep an ear out for Main Street Media's Thursday night football audio broadcast with Wade Neely and Casey Patrick calling games all across Middle Tennessee this season. It is set to go live Thursday night at 6:45. Well, we'll see you right back here next Tuesday with the high school football wrap-up show on Main Street Media TV.